All right, we're going in. We're going in all the way. Podcast. Here we go. Rhonda Liebig, energy revitalizer, cash vitality coach, creator of the Fresh Inspiration Show. We're going to get it rocking, moving, and we're going to talk about biting your tongue no more. This opening ceremony, if you're grabbing this one, the podcast, that is where we have Janine Olmos, and we're really talking about self-compassion. We're playing with, what food really connects with that fourth chakra. We're speaking about, what's the inspiration happening around us, what we're acknowledging, what we're seeing out there, and that is the opening ceremony. Maybe you're catching the podcast with the second hour of Bite Your Tongue No More, and you're going to find that Jill Fowers is talking. She has some great questions, by the way. So you'll get her all along the way, asking questions, being insightful, because the way that Jill thinks is like, if there's something that needs to be said, she's like, I want to say it. And you're going to find out why, because in our second hour of Bite Your Tongue No More, that may be the podcast that you jump into. And that one is where Jill is talking about that she used to just say things blatantly. And she realized she was hurting people's feelings because she wasn't thinking about, what she was saying, except she's like, oh, this is how it is. And as she's been opening her heart more and more, she's able to come back and feel home with her vocals and really sharing about how she feels. So it's been a learning curve for Jill. She's a perfect person to be able to watch or listen to the podcast and get some great experience. If you've done that before, where you just blatantly say something, and you say, oh my gosh, I wish I would have said it differently. So Jill Flowers is the perfect person to hang out with. And the third hour, you may be catching the third hour of the Bite Your Tongue No More. Sharon Karen is with me, and we're talking about raise your frequency, change your life. So in the closing ceremony, I bring back everybody together, and they may not physically be there, but I'm speaking to what each person is talking about, bringing highlights in and keeping the mojo going, keeping that energy going. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. That's what we want, is energy in your personal mindset transformation entertainment. But you're going to hear a story about how Sharon actually broke her neck and she passed away. Could see her body, could see her moving and jittering, all that. She ended up going back in her body, driving, actually not driving her car because it was so messed up. And she'll tell you a story around that. And she's going to share about that everything's going to be okay, even if you pass away. She's talking about that there's no pain when you pass away. Oh, this is just so amazing. So we have 3 different hour podcasts. Make sure you're grabbing which one you want. We have me as the opening ceremony, along with Janine Olmos. You're going to find that in the information there, or you're going to be with Jill Flowers, and I'm there helping gauge where we are within that hour. And then we also have Sharon Karen in the closing ceremony. So just hunker in, get yourself a pen, piece of paper, or your journal, and let's get rocking. Have an insightful, enjoyable podcast time with us. But I want to share with you that we have a recipe. So I just put it in the link, and it comes from The Fit Solutions, my first book. I did this book about 8 years ago. Yeah, that's me lifting weights, because that's what you get real serious. Someone used to say to me, many people, it looks so serious. It doesn't look like fun. And that's the space I was in, though. That's how I lived my life. Like, everything had to be serious. And if you're serious, it's going to get done. But you're going to see that serious can be like playful and silly, because then you feel like, oh my gosh, what a release. I could take a breath before I take a big step. So it's I don't know. I love being able to play. I'm going to share the screen real quick here. I just put in the link. This is for you. the Fresh Inspiration Show. It's a coconut curry chicken vegetarian. So I want to make sure that as you're opening yourself up, that you are chemically being able to balance your body, that you are able to really start hearing and seeing and grounding yourself. The food that you eat is what's going to be the partnering with all the other tools you're getting from everybody today. So this is on page 115 of my book, but you got the recipe right here. And a couple things I wanted to bring in was something to kind of shake up your body flow and like get things moving for you. We're really opening up that heart center. And Jill just said something. Yes. Yep, we do. And this is where I wanted to add cayenne. You'll see down here, cayenne pepper is great. Chicken's more of like an agile kind of a being, so it helps you kind of open up your vocals, kind of shake it up. So take that link and download. This is your recipe. This is for you. This is for you. Jill, do you need to do that right now?
Yeah, that sounds really yummy.
But Jill, do you need to transition just for a moment? Yep, okay. Hey, so enjoy the recipe. Enjoy the recipe. The reason why it's funny because I didn't used to do this where I had a recipe to give you, but why I do this is since I've been in the health industry for over 20 years now, that my specialty, the years of what I studied was, how energetically, how food affects us. So if you are bringing these tools that you've already used for biting your tongue no more and being able to speak, like what are those things that you use to help you feel powerful? And then you take some new tools, because we always love inspiration. So new tools, reminding yourself, when you start using others' tools, you'll start reminding yourself of the tools that you truly have for yourself. And it's a wonderful thing to be able to learn. So we are looking at the sesame oil, mustard seeds, chopped onion gets you right at the cell level. So take this recipe and think about what you want in your journey. Because there's going to be people you want to have conversation with, I think, after our discussion here today. Anybody else have any insight on that? I think I'm making a list here. Here's my journal today, and I'm making a list. I'm like, this is opening me up. I'm gonna write people that I want to have conversation with. All right, so let's get Jill in here. Jill, thank you for being here. Woo woo! I've been enjoying the conversation, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been pretty awesome so far. The time is flying by.
It does. It does. And I used to have this thing. So these shows are really healing me too, because I have, we all have our own skills and we use them and we work them. And then you come in with all these beautiful, like you, experts. And experts are really interesting words. So maybe we'll put that off to the side, because somebody the other day said, you can't be an expert if you make one mistake that's just like so big mistake. And I was like, here, wait, but I can see people maybe have a definition of, what expert means, but these are the stars of the show that have a lot of experience. So I get to learn from them. Oh my gosh, I've learned so much about healing my spiritual journey, healing my brain when it comes to being stuck back here and ready to shake it up. And I'm like, here, wait, so-and-so just said this. So make sure that you're speaking your truth too. Keep on checking in, add your comments, play with us. We have Jill for an hour. This is so cool because you can ask her. And I really build Jill up because I really feel this way. So, when you start opening your vocals and you start working those relationships, you'll see everybody the way that I do. It's a natural thing that I was born with that used to get me in trouble because I thought everybody had to be perfect. Because at first I would see them in all their beauty. and then they would do something that was just normal. I mean, like because I was thinking that someone's supposed to act a certain way, and then they would do something that was normal. It was just them, and then all of a sudden it break my heart. And so now I know I was being hard on myself, and I was expecting myself to act a certain way. But once you start rinsing and cleaning and shampooing and scrubbing, that all of a sudden you go, here, wait, I still love that person because they're human. Oh my gosh. So it's beautiful. That's where I want you to get to. That's what the show is about today, is that you get to have that self-compassion and then allow that to smoothly open up. Maybe you want to make a list of your relationships of who you'd like to talk to after this. I told you I'm on it. I got my pen. I'm writing myself here because I keep leveling up. I have two intros for Jill because there's a couple things I really do actually want you to know, that who Jill works with, because if you see yourself in this space, you're like, I really need to connect with her. You're going to connect even deeper, or you're going to refer Jill because you want to know who's out there taking care of people this way. And then I also have a special thing is that, I really do understand Jill as a soul activist. That soul where you have these things you're learning about yourself and in your soul deep, and she's an activist to be able to say, yeah, let's shake it up. And she has her bowls that she plays to be able to help vocals open up, and so she even sings and plays along with that. And we do have like some back dialogue before we come into the show, and the vocals for Jill is a very special place because, like what she said, when she was younger, she was like, just saying her stuff. And people would say, kids don't know much. And she's like, yes, I do. But then there was a certain point when she said, here, I might be hurting somebody because I'm out there. And then what brought that together, and Jill can speak way better than this, but it's the feeling of your soul, your activity, your being an activist for yourself and understanding what Jill is here for, what she's doing today. But it's about also opening the heart so that when you speak, it's like you go, oh, I want that relationship to that person I'm talking to be able to actually hear and see me. So Jill learned to really be part of discussions in a new way. And what Janine was talking about, Janine almost, was when you're younger, sometimes you don't have the flow of I'm saying all these things, but maybe I can say them a different way. So Jill is a soul activist, but she says that she assists Black women in disrupting trauma, drama, and bullshit. I support women in the healing journey in a process of release, reclaim, and restore, allowing space for more joy. Oh, I'm all into that. And more truth, more freedom to fall deeply in love with themselves. You're ready to fall more deeply in love with yourself. So this is Jill. She's going to be showing up fully and authentically, which I love. The speaking of the bullshit and saying, and us just being able to say those words when it's like, I just feel this. So she's with us, ready to help you stop biting your tongue and getting out there as you discover your power source. Jill works in the depths of her purpose as a spiritual activist. It's time to energetically stop evacuating and learn how to heal through harmonizing into your soul blueprint. Jill Fowers, my friend, you got the stage. I love you.
Thank you so much for that opening. Thank you. I can't even imagine, Rhonda, you being serious. So I was just like, I gotta get that book. So I just want to see that photo. Thank you so much. So welcome to everyone who's in the space. Today, we are disrupting, just want to change what I'm looking at here, how I have this. Today, we are going to disrupt biting our tongue. That's part of, that's the bullshit part, right, that I work with. And then it's connected, for some of us, it's connected to your trauma. And for others, it's connected to your toxicity, right? The toxic lives that you may have created. And so today we get to disrupt what's been going on that hasn't been working, what hasn't been serving. And I'm gonna have a few exercises, a few tools for us to use. And what I really want to start with is I want to start with us bringing our focus and our attention to our breath. Our breath is so important, so important. We breathe when we speak. And when we are speaking, that breath that goes into the words actually enliven the words. We bring life to our words. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just get really comfortable. And I'm going to ask you to put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. It does not matter which is where. And I want you to close your eyes down. And I want you to bring your focus to your breath. The inhale and the exhale. The inhale and the exhale. You don't have to breathe deeply, just your normal pace of breathing. Because the more you focus on the inhale and the exhale, you will begin to breathe in a deeper way. And what we're doing right now is we begin to breathe in a very deep and intentional way. We're letting the body know we are in thriving mode. Your short breaths, your breaths where you're holding your stomach in, that's telling the body you are in survival. So right now we're going to use the breath and shift. We are using the breath. The breath is a bridge. And the breath is also an anchor. And I'm going to ask you to just join in to this space of peace and calm, and just begin to feel the shift of moving from survival mode into thriving. Hand on heart, one hand on belly, listening to the sound of my voice, breathing in. The breath is in the spirit and the spirit is in the breath. The spirit is in the breath and the breath is the bridge. The spirit is in the breath and the breath is in the spirit. Breathe. And in this space, just want you to acknowledge this is what it feels like to be alive. Feeling your heartbeat, feeling your belly move in and out, feeling the shift moving into a space of thriving, peace, and calm. This is being alive. And we give thanks whenever you are ready, coming back into this room, coming back into this space. You can open your eyes. I hope that was good for everyone. How was that for you, Rhonda?
Jill, I could feel my belly. I could feel my heart opening up. I love, the welcoming back in that allowed me the space to enter in a soft, gentle way and feel the transition from where I was before you brought us there. I appreciate that.
Good, good. If anyone wants to share how they felt, if they engaged in that exercise, I have a few more exercises that we're going to stop along the way. We're going to talk, and then we're going to engage in releasing from the vocals. So I have some exercises for us to release and open up, opening up, opening up.
Oh, this is scrumptiously good, Jill. I love this. Okay, I love it. I need that because I'm consistently thinking about the healing of the vocals, and I can't wait to get those exercises from you, truthfully. Oh,
Yes, 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 yes. So where I would like to bring us to is the concern that you may have around speaking up when you are biting your tongue. When I have bitten my tongue in the past, when I've held back in the past, it really is around the judgment that you're going to receive, right? Because of whatever the perception is that you believe that someone has of you. But the truth is, there's a loss of love. There's a fear that you are going to lose the people who you are talking to. If I share how I feel, will you still love me? If I tell you my truth, will my truth be received by you? Will you still be here? Will you still like me? Will you still hold space for me? Will it still be safe for me to be in relationship with you? So I'm wondering if you want to put it in the chat. Does this resonate with anyone? Your speaking your truth creates this fear that you are going to lose the very people who you are trying to be in relationship with.
yeah, I love that you're opening up the chat here too, and I'll tell you if people are opening their vocals to this. I know that um, I do have fear around that, and it's not something that's consistent. When I feel like I'm not really walking my truth for the day, and I get challenged in a way of like I'm feeling something just said something, and I feel like one of the things that I've discovered along the way is that before I started doing this stuff as an entrepreneur, that was 12 years ago, that I've changed so much. And the fear of sharing or talking the way that I do around people that are understanding who the new me is, it's hard for me to do that when I am with people that still see me, 12 years ago. So these tools that you are, opening the vocals, is that I'll show up sometimes where I'm like, oh, this the way I talk doesn't really fit in this space. And so I've been playing with that. But if I'm not feeling at my highest purpose, and I find myself doing the old thing I would do, which was play in somebody's arena, what do they want from me? How should I be acting? I find sometimes that can show up. And then the fear comes in of, just saying something I just like comfortably would say maybe an hour ago before I got into a certain discussion.
Mhm.
Rosemary said, I'm so happy I am here to engage with this beautiful breathing gift of new life. From survival to my true self. Thanks, Jill. Yes, yes, yes.
Mm.
Joan, you anything with that you want to share, Joan, please do. I know she's very open too. Of like at this stage in your life, Joan, is there anything that just kind of still gets in your way? Because you're a coach in what you do too. But I know you're getting a lot from this also, as I am. So please keep adding on. Anybody else, the Fresh Inspiration Show, when you feel you want to add in?
Yes. So I want to share when my expression changed, right? So your vocals, it's a part of your expression. How I show up, how I'm expressing myself, how I put my energy on something, right? My expression. My expression changed when I was 14. My mother had she had succumbed to breast cancer, but before that, she was ill. She was ill, and we were not told. Like my father knew, my mother knew, but we didn't know that she had breast cancer. We were told that she had. They lied to us basically to protect us, but they told us that she had a thyroid issue. And towards the end of her life, she was sent home, and I became the one who started to take care of her. And I would, go outside, and then I would notice, like, you know what, let me go in and be with mom and let me check on her. And I just started to take care of her. My father had checked out, my sister had checked out, and I made the decision to be the one to be with her, get her food. And then I just started to sleep in the bed with her. And that summer changed me. It grew me up. I had to speak up. And I had to become this little adult, right? This little girl doing things. We had bills. My father had stopped paying the bills. He was suffering from his own depression. And so I started to pay the bills. I would sign his name, right? And I remember sitting at the kitchen table, and I wrote his name out a few times, and I was like, "Ooh, this looks good." And so I would sign, I would like write checks, pay the bills with his money and with his checks, of course. And my mother passed on, and I would say about a month later, because I could not speak to my father, he was in his own world of depression, had challenges with my sister. She was in her own world. I had a night where I just exploded. And this was, when I say exploded, I needed to talk to someone. I needed to talk to my father. I couldn't speak to him. I couldn't talk to my sister, and could not reach out to other family members. And so I found the only expression for myself was anger. And I remember walking around our kitchen table, just walking around the kitchen table over and over and over again. I was punching my fist in my hand, and I was so full. I needed to share, I needed to speak, I needed to talk. There was so much going on with me as a teenager who had just lost her mom. And I felt like it was like right when I needed her. I was angry at God. I let God know I'm angry. I started to let people know in very subtle ways, but also in very outward ways. I'm angry, I'm upset. And my expression turned from someone who, for all intents and purposes, was innocent. And yes, maybe I would be upset about the things that a child would be upset about, but my expression turned to anger. And as I got older, no one No one saved me, right? No one came in and said, Jill, this is inappropriate. So when I was triggered, my anger, my expression, it would be, I'd throw something against the wall. I'd lash out. This lasted through college. Had a boyfriend, thought he could have been cheating on me, threw his TV through the wall.
Jill.
I know. I know. And so, I share this, and in this space where, just being vulnerable and sharing, because my favorite form, my go-to expression, because I was not speaking this truth, that I was hurt, that I had lost my mother, and I had really lost my father too. Even though he was in physical form still with me, I had lost him. And then I had an older sister who I had lost her. And my expectations of what I thought adults should be doing, for me, I had to go, okay, I got to do this for myself. And it pissed me off.
But brought in a lot of anger. Shannon Sundberg is here. She said, "Wow, so beautiful. It can be so challenging to transition and speak your truth." And with the anger and finally getting this out in the way that you did, it was divinely perfect in how you were dealing with that. I found myself just in that story itself. I know you have more stuff, but I felt like I was going to cry because the feeling of, the hurt souls out there because of life happening and some people checking out and not speaking, because that's the route that needs to happen for them for survival. But
Yeah.
those vocals were open to be able to share how much you were loved.
Yeah. And how much attention that I just needed to my soul and to my heart. And speaking, learning how to speak, learning how to express myself, where I could say, you know what, this is inappropriate,
Yeah.
or this doesn't work for me, right? Learning how to take the anger and speak in a way that was loving, that was honoring me, but also honoring the person. You need to hear this truth too. And so I share this story because one of the tentacles of biting your tongue is when self-expression goes left. I don't know which way to go. When self-expression goes left, when self-expression becomes violent, when fear is driving the self-expression, and that's what Janine talked about with the aggressiveness. And I had to pull back. I had to take a look at myself. I had to heal. It's still here. I am a fiery person, right? I am definitely fiery, but I do save that. I save her, right? I decided that, she's my alter ego. And when I need to defend my family, when I need to defend my loved ones, I can pull her out. So hide your TVs.
Oh, Jill, I have a question for you.
Yes.
I find that she is with you all the time, though.
Yes.
Are you saying there's two layers to this? Because there's like the kid Jill that is like, oh, I'm gonna like, what? And just like how? Yeah, I'm watching after you. What you just said about my teenagers, which is fabulous. We were talking about stories about that just recently, and I could see how that would come out. Like, hey, you know. But then the other thing is, I find that you're very powerful in the things that you do. So I'm thinking like that fiery, scrumptious kind of like I'm here kind of thing is like it's just the overtone, of who Jill is, the vivaciousness of how you speak and the clarity that you have on what you're doing. And yeah,
Thank you. I mean, it's been my journey. It has been my journey to my authentic self, and I believe that that is what this this conversation ultimately is about, is aligning, connecting, meeting, seeing, being our absolute best versions of ourselves, our high authentic self. And when we deny that truth, then it becomes a spiritual violation. It becomes violence,
yeah,
becomes aggression, it becomes depression, it becomes uh, awkward frustration and sadness. We need to have spaces and places where we get to speak our truth. And so, what I would like to do, and Rhonda, tell me how much are we? Tell me, I have 20 minutes.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not it's not a tight 20 minutes. I mean, and Jill, when you're working with your community, I bet you there's so much in there about this fieriness and about speaking your truth. I know you're going to probably be giving a tool and you're in your transition wherever you are right now. Can I ask you this though? Can we go to something that I find is another layer here that we were talking about before we got in, and you talked a little bit about it. Can you tell me last night or it was this morning when you were in your private group and you were talking to the your people that you get to be with, in this group? Can you tell me how you were feeling about like what they were saying? And you gave some information of it. What was it that just got you so fired today of why you wanted to be here when you were able to see and hear with these ladies that you get to play with all the time in your group? Well, give me some information because you and I were just so fiery about this today.
Yeah. The underlying cause feeling is fear. And the women, and I just want to give a little context. The women, that the group that we're talking about is the Black Women's Healing Circle, and I facilitate, curate healing circles for women of color. And in this particular instance where we're having this pre-talk, the overall general feeling is I feel unsafe to speak my truth in the presence of men. I feel intimidated by men. And that was just the thought that I kind of walked away with something really new, because I wasn't bringing that into the conversation. I
Yeah.
wasn't bringing how women shrink in the presence of men. And what's happening right now, right? The Me Too movement, the divine feminine is online and she is activated. And so there is a lot of transitioning, a lot of transformation is happening. Mother Earth she's shifting, the women are shifting, we are speaking up, and we're also finding that we need each other in
Yeah.
order to support ourselves, in order to support our fellow women, to be able to speak up, to be able to say, you know what, I got your back.
Mhm.
Actually, there's 5,000 of us. I have 4,999 sisters behind me, and we all have your back. Say what you need to say. I may not agree with it, but I need you to speak up.
Yeah. We are talking about how women feel with men, but you do work with men too. So there's a beautiful side to this that actually, Jill, you're like full, well-rounded, unlike how men feel. Can we do that for a moment? Can we share some of the ahas? Because you know men in a way, of the being able to be there and mentor and stuff. So can you give some stuff on the man side, like about like what happens that you're aware of?
What my understanding is, and so I marry people, right? I'm an interfaith reverend. I marry people, and I sometimes counsel the couples when I go to marry them, but I isolate them, right? So I don't, and I'm actually working with a couple right now who I married, and I isolate the men, and I speak, specifically to them without their wives. And this is a very general observation, is that the men sometimes shut down because they feel like, one, their voice isn't being heard. Two, everything they do is wrong. Three, if they say it, it's going to be received in a way that is completely different from what they were intending. So it's communication, right? It's having an understanding of how to communicate. I wrote something down which I think really applies to men in this very general way. But as much as we are, like, some of us are born with empathy, right? Like, healthy, normal human beings are born with a natural dose of empathy. Some people are not. But even in being born with this empathy, we still need to be taught how to honor our feelings, but also how to honor other people's feelings. We still need to know how to hold space for other people. So I know these kids, they happen to be my son and daughter. And, you know, my daughter is 10, my son is 14. And when they were younger, my daughter, maybe 2 years old, she came to me and she told me that her brother, like, hit her. And I said, "How did that make you feel?" And she said, I didn't like it. I remember her little voice. And I said, "You go back and you tell him, I don't like when you did that. When you hit me, I didn't like that." So, and I said, "You go back, I'm standing here." And I let her go back, and she went and she told him, I don't like when you do that." And then she said, "And then you did, and she's not stopped ever since. But on the other side, I talked to my son to say, I need you to listen, and I need you to understand that when you say certain things or when you do certain things, this is how she's receiving it. And just trying to get them to have this happy medium. Doesn't work all the time, no, right? But I want to teach them how to honor their feelings so that they would also be able to honor the feelings of others. And with the men, I have found that there just isn't that connection around really being able to understand communication in a way where they can empathize with their lives.
I like that. It's interesting because are you finding that what you're learning about men and how they may be feeling, because about, like maybe them not speaking their truth, and where how that shows up for them. I feel like there's just such a different angle when it comes to, the way that we show up differently. And it could be, of course, we're generalizing them because we're saying men and women, but in general, like, what are you finding that in this area?
I'm actually finding that men are very emotional, very emotional. And I don't know if the word is, and could also harbor some jealousy around, some envy around the self expression that we have, right? In terms of our emotions, in terms of being able to dial through all of the emotions. There have been times where, you know, I I've touched on every single emotion in the last, 3 minutes in the conversation that I'm having with my husband, right? I've just gone full circle. And he has to be a man. And a lot of that's changing, right? A lot of that is just like just being thrown out. But you know, in the space where men get to really talk freely, there's a lot going on, right? What is it? The still waters run deep. And a lot of times the shutdown that some men, exhibit has to do with the not being able to really fully get in touch with all of the emotions and express how they're feeling. Yeah. I would like to, I'd like to, and I don't know if you want to do this, and you can tell me no, but I would love to also talk about, I want to cycle back a little bit when I was just talking about our emotions when we don't express ourselves, how our emotions really become toxic to us.
Mm. I like that because this is all about the health and wellness too. Like,
Yeah.
it's not just like the relationship and the fears around stuff. It's a lot about like internally. I would love to have that conversation.
Yeah. And when the emotions are not, there's no full expression of emotions, and we internalize and they become toxic because we're not honoring them. And we have situations where people outside in the world are name calling, bullying,
Mm.
um, letting us know that they see us in a dark way, in a dim light. Um, we can internalize all of that and become depressed, not wanting to share, this is how I feel, not wanting to share that I'm depressed. And if I'm depressed, holding space for others in a way that says, like, if I share this, if I tell you this, you will hurt as much as I am hurting, and I don't want to hurt you.
Yeah.
So I don't want to share. And where I'm going with this is how our shutting down can really be the impetus for suicide, for depression, for just like, I want to say, like manic behavior.
Yeah. And Jill, I want to banter back and forth with you on this one because this is so deep. Yeah, I wish Janine was here too, because Janine, had you talked about suicide, and we've been talking about this in the background before we got here, of really dealing with this within 24 hours. Our community, we've had to deal with that. And anybody else, this is what we're talking about, is if we're holding the space for this, and about how it can feel, the imbalance within yourself. And Jill, I love us speaking about this. Shannon Sundberg said, yes, I love that unexpressed emotions become toxic, how it affects us. So yeah, we're in for this conversation.
Yeah. We are expressive individuals. We are look at me, right? Like, I'm just like, right, just expressing. And when we are not able to speak our truth, and when we're not able to say, this is how I'm feeling, and we don't have receptors for that, we don't have the coach or the therapist or the healer,
Yeah.
we're not taught to honor. It is violence to our soul.
Mm. Jill, can I just have a moment and share something about what I did deal with yesterday in that part? So at the top of the show, I just said probably a couple sentences about this. This is in truth what's happening these days. And I'm so happy you pivoted into this area, because we're on the last part of, we're flowing into the closing ceremony. And so this is really serving the purpose here of what this is about. I'll make sure I regroup and bring everything together for you. Jill and the Fresh Inspiration Show, before we got here and got live, I was sharing with Jill that in the more depths of that, I was with a 14-year-old yesterday, and that she took something to be able to, hopefully, she was hoping that for that moment, that it was going to take the pain away. That's all she wanted, like the pain. Like when I talked to her, when I finally got to her, I was the first person that got to her, and she doesn't want to leave here. This life, she doesn't know how to handle it. Anybody that's 50, 60, 80 that feels that way, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter. But we have us and the youngins out there that are trying to figure this out. And what this young, beautiful person is dealing with is, when you know how to play a game, and that is the game that hurts you. Like you look at somebody and you go, well, they don't like me. So what do I need to do to close myself off and then talk maybe a little bit higher because you're not here, and play this game so I can see what they need, and then I'm gonna act like that. I'm gonna dress like that. And the real vocals close. My beautiful 14-year-old girl that I was speaking to, she doesn't know how to do that. And that's what Jill was talking about. She doesn't know how to do that. She's a person that's in full truth. And so she comes bubbly, beautiful. She wears what she wants to wear. And that might not be okay for some people. Does that mean that what Jill was talking about, I want to bring this back to beautiful Jill, and what Jill Fowers been talking about, is when you have people around you that are playing this game, and they get very angry because they've been playing this game, and how dare this beautiful 14-year-old not play this game. Boy, dude, and this stuff that comes up every single day, there's a new story about this beautiful 14-year-old. And I got to sit with her, and I told her first just everything beautiful about her, and the way that's so lovely about this life. And tell me if this helps you, Fresh Inspiration Show, put an angle there that you feel that you want to. What it's showing up for her is that she's not wanted here because she doesn't know how to play the game, and she doesn't know what game that is. She just knows. And anybody else not know how to play the game? And you're like, I keep friggin' showing up like myself, and people are telling me I don't fit in this community. I don't fit in something because I'm not saying the same exact thing. I've even had a coach that would say my words for me. She said, no, you meant to say this. And then went to the next person. I was like, I felt so shameful in front of people because my vocals were closed. And this is what the 14-year-old was expressing. Every day there's a new thing that people are saying. So when you're at 14, your brain is like, I'm just going to say it all what I'm saying sometimes. I'm going to be mean to that person. It's not coming from here. Think about where you are and the life that you lived. People still do that to us, but they do it quietly. And if you're not playing the game, you're going to see so and so look at you like, and that can put you in a space of closing your vocals. So I just wanted to say that, Jill. I'm giving you as much space as possible because we're moving into closing ceremony, but this is serving the fulfillment of what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I want to add to that, what's different today than it was when I was 14 is social media, and the added fact that people are watching you from the corners of their dark bedroom, and cyberbullying, and people have so much like freedom in a sense to hide behind the computers and their cell phones to say, when you're not playing the game, to criticize and talk and bully. And this whole social media is an added factor to that.
People think they know you because
Yeah.
you're just on social media. And so now they're like, well, the same thing at school, it's happening to this 14-year-old or like us, and people can be bullying us because we're adults and we're expressing how beautiful life is, and people can be at you saying, well, social media is only showing that you have a perfect life, and it's like, well, I'm sharing you the beauty of this life. I'm not playing a game here. Everything that I have out there is because I want to share with you how beautiful life can be. That is how I want to live. And so there's people saying things like, like, I don't like those posts and I'm not going to follow that person because they're showing the beauty because they're struggling with stuff. And so when we look at our young self, it is about going back to your young self and saying, yeah, not everything is perfect. So where do I want to add the tools to be able to work through that? So when I see these beautiful posts of this beautiful person that just doesn't know that there's a game being played here, they're just like being themselves, instead of going at somebody and saying things that aren't very nice or saying not very nice things about yourself because you see what's not working, that you really actually get to say, here, wait, there are some good things about this life, and you get to learn how to flip it. You have to learn how to flip it for yourself so you have more expansion of love for yourself, and you get to be in truth with what really isn't working so you can use the tools so that you understand that, yeah, there's going to be some more shit that goes down.
Yep.
Life isn't perfect.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Life isn't perfect, and we need some tools to move through this journey. So you tell me, if I have some time to I want to do a little exercise and share how we can open up our vocals to get people to get their lists and start writing those letters.
Oh, yeah? Okay. All right. What'd you think? What'd you think? Tell me. I want to hear it. You're going to see this on iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, because these are all the podcasts. Our next layer is going to go into Roku TV. What you think about the podcast? I would love to hear from you. Please give us a review. The more that we hear from you, the more that we get attention in what we're doing. I really truly hunker in the mindset transformation entertainment. If you're ready to come play, I would really love to have you find out a couple things about us. If you'd like to be on the show and you're a speaker and you've been working on getting out there and you have these things that you've been launching and you want things to happen, maybe you feel a little stuck, the Fresh Inspiration Show is right there for you. This is where we do extra special marketing for you if you win a 15-minute scholarship. So we've been doing that where we do 15-minute scholarships, and it's wonderful. Wonderful to have people in where you get 15 minutes of time. If you'd like to be a star of the show, we get tons of marketing around you, helps you build and create your marketing plan, even top-notch stuff to get your business going. Meet with me. I have plenty of stuff going on, as you can see in the information below. Have fun. Have fun with this. And I love that you're around and that you are here listening to our podcast. Have an insightful, freshly inspired day. Give us some love. Can't wait to catch you on the flip side from our next podcast, to maybe even hearing some reviews from you or comments. Love it.